Hello, this is Dr. Natalie Lenore Blackman coming back to you with our new session called Blessed are the Peacemakers. In this session, we will be diving into the earth element. This is our digestive element. We have the stomach and the spleen. And in Chinese medicine, the spleen represents the pancreas as well. And so we're looking at, the ability of our body to digest food. But how about also digest information, right? Digest what's coming our way in life. And we have to be able to, for lack of a better word, stomach it and face off the difficulties and overcome the difficulties. So we don't want to just survive in life. We want to thrive, because that's how we create a healthy body. We're working on balancing the spirit, the soul, and the body. And we've been walking through each season. We started in the reset season, which is spring. Moved on to the fire season, which is the heart element. And now we are in the digestive season, or the earth element. And the earth element is, I like to think of it as linked with the peacemakers, okay? So the earth element is the more easygoing type of personality. Maybe they're a little bit more humble. Definitely more humble than the wood element, right? The wood elements are the leaders or the CEOs of an organization. And so the earth elements tend to be those people that you really enjoy being around. They oftentimes see the glass as half full rather than half empty. I guess I would say when they're balanced, they see it more half full rather than half empty. And they enjoy peace. They don't like a lot of strife, a lot of chaos. But their weak area, the earth element's weak area, is worry. Okay, and we've talked about in some other sessions that worry comes from a lack of trust. Okay, worry also comes from us building a foundation on ourself. Okay, because self is fickle. And rather than building it on our Father or the Creator, the one who made us, okay, because He is non-wavering, He is trustworthy, He is steadfast, and He is faithful. So when we build a foundation on Him rather than self, we can worry less, okay? But we're going to get there. We're going to try to figure out why we worry, where the roots come from. Are they generational? Is it something passed down? And we're going to really try to go in and figure out how to get those up so we can continue to establish this foundation of trust. So when the difficulties in life comes, our heart can condemn us not, right? We can have confidence in that day. And so one thing I wanted to start with today that I feel is very important as we talk about the earth element, and we're going to get into, physical things as well. But, my passion is the spiritual. So that's where I go to first. And if the earth element is a peacemaker or a peacekeeper type element, then we have to establish boundaries, okay? Boundaries in our life. And I want you to think of a castle, and there's a king of a castle, correct? And the king has a kingdom. And it is just an innate part of humanity and this world that if there is a king and a kingdom, somebody, somewhere, another king and another kingdom wants to conquer that king and kingdom. Okay? It's inevitable. All right? And so the way that a king and a kingdom prevents an onslaught of attacks at all times is by putting up walls. Okay? And not like walls to keep out love or walls to keep out connection. We're not talking that way. We're going to get deeper into this, but this is just something the Father dropped in my spirit 1 minute ago. So we have to put up boundaries, okay? So when we establish boundaries in our life, then we're not subject to an onslaught of attacks, okay? And so those boundaries come from deciding what type of life you want to lead, okay? And I have a very strong earth component. I have many of the elements, and you may find this for yourself. You can actually move from element to element based on seasons in your life. So when I'm a boss at my office, I have to be more of a wood element. But at home, I'm not a wood element. Okay? I have to be a fire element for my daughter. I have to want to play and engage and enjoy her. And I have to be an earth element in my normal relaxed state, because that's what brings me peace. I love to sit in the secret place with the Father. That gives me a ton of peace. And then that fire element also will come forward, and the wood element, when I need to go and ride my bike or run or get out in the woods or maybe do something that brings up a little more adrenaline. So you may find yourselves like moving between these elements. Like you may say, well, I have all the elements, right? Or I'm this element during this season, or I'm this element when I'm at home, or I'm this element when I'm at work. That is normal. We just want to identify the elements. We want to know the organs that are attached to them. And we need to know how to nurture the organs, the element, so that our body can move in a happy transition day to day, month to month, season to season. And as we do that, we're relieving blockages and stress from the body, and that allows us to walk in a state of wholeness, okay? And so the boundaries, we're going to get a little bit more into that, but I wanted to say this when I said the word wholeness. When you're balancing the body, the earth element is always the safest element to begin balancing, because it is the center of all the other elements. So it is actually very involved in the wholeness of the body, okay? So if you want to nurture this element, and we want to remove worry from our lives, which to me is pretty much synonymous with anxiety. I mean, I think they go back and forth. I can find myself doing one, and then the other one tends to show up. I find myself doing the other one, and then the other one shows up. So they're very synonymous, but they are linked to different organ systems and different elements, of course. But so we want to establish these boundaries. And when you establish boundaries in your life, you want to see, what is it that you want to keep out of your life? Okay? And to me, through my life, through my development, through my growth over the last 45 years, my number one goal is to keep out strife, envy, and jealousy. I have found those to be so toxic, okay? And so those, when I see those three together, I see someone stirring a pot, like a witch stirring a pot, right? You're trying to like really ramp someone up. You're really trying to get someone to fight back, or stirred up, or riled up is another word, right? So strife, envy, and jealousy tend to work together. So one will usually bring the other. And so for me and my boundaries, establishing my family, when I, was building my family, I wanted to make sure that those three things were not a part of who we were as a family. Okay? And that comes from all of the things we're working on. That comes from thankfulness and being grateful, right? We don't want what someone else has, because the more you understand how the Creator made us individually and uniquely, you understand that your path in that perfect will, right? In that secret place that we talked about so many sessions, but definitely we talked about it in the last session, that path is so very different from the person next to you's path, or your neighbor, or your friend, or your sister, or your mother. So you can't look at other people and want what they have, right? Because it would pull you off of your path. Okay? So that's that envy. And then jealousy follows envy, right? Like, oh wow, I want what they have. I'm jealous that they have it, right? But if you understand and begin to understand that each of us, everything we do is uniquely designed for us, every step we take, every move we make, right? If we're walking with the Father, it is our destiny. So we shouldn't want or crave or look to someone else's destiny, because we couldn't fulfill it. We wouldn't be equipped for it. We wouldn't have the tools to do what they do. And so this journey into balancing the spirit, the soul, and the body, and becoming aware what's in our garden, what's in our soil, what's in our soul, and getting all the junk out, is so that we can produce a harvest, or that we can be fruitful in our destiny. Okay? So strife comes from, discontentment, I believe is the correct word. So discontentment is lack of satisfaction with one's possessions, status, or situation. It is a lack of contentment. It actually, he says, it's also a sense of grievance or dissatisfaction. So if we have those feelings, right, they tend to bring on strife. And that's when people start talking about someone else, or backbiting is one of my favorite words, And, this person did this, or I don't know how she got that, or she doesn't deserve this, or can you believe this? And so that's strife. And strife arises from people that don't understand your journey, okay? They don't understand what you've walked through, and they don't understand what you've done to arrive at the place where you are. So I put up boundaries. I call them the boundaries of shalom. The Father gave me that term, and I recommend you put up the boundaries of shalom around your family, around your home, and around your business. And as you put up those boundaries of shalom, you're operating, right, in your kingdom. And if you're operating under the King, or the Creator of heaven and earth, if you're operating in the secret place, right, then those enemies that want to overtake your kingdom can't get through the walls. Okay? So those are very, very important boundaries to put up. But if you want to establish peace in your home, like this element, blessed are the peacemakers. If you want to establish shalom in any part of your life, you're going to have to establish boundaries. And whether those boundaries are for people or for things in your life. Maybe it's something that you've always done and it actually causes you to be strifeful or causes you to be envious. I'm just going to use something for instance here. It just came to my mind. Let's say, 3 times a week you like to walk on a path that goes through a very affluent neighborhood. And every time that you're walking on that path and you're dreaming of living in this house or dreaming of living in that house, and as you do that, you become kind of resentful of the people that do live in those homes, right? You don't realize it at first, but it comes over time. It comes from your meditations of your heart. Then putting up that boundary and not doing that anymore would be one thing you could do, okay? Let's say that you love talking to your sister and you guys talk every single day, but every time you talk, you notice that you talk about everybody, okay? And, you talk about the lady down the street, and then you talk about the people at church, and then you talk about the people that you ran into at the grocery store, and then you talk about your daughter's friends, families. And so if that is the case, right, then you're going to have to put up boundaries around that phone call. You're going to have to say, you know what? Maybe we don't need to talk for a couple of weeks. I'm really working on myself. I'm trying to establish some boundaries of shalom. It has nothing to do with you. It has everything to do with me, right? Because it's about the work that we're doing, not about what other people are doing. It's about the work that we're doing. So in this first session, I want us to begin to think about this element. Blessed are the peacemakers, right? What do we want in our home? How do we want our home to operate? And how can we get there? And I want us to begin to think about these boundaries of shalom. And I want you to begin thinking as we walk through each day where you're seeing strife, envy, and jealousy in your life. Okay? So those are just the simple things that we're going to do to begin this element. And then we will reconvene and move forward and get deeper into foods we can eat and things we can do as we are preparing for the end of summer. Okay, I hope you all have a wonderful and blessed day. And if this blessed you, hit the like button and subscribe and share. Thanks so much.